Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, salam. Welcome everybody to MACFEST 2025, to the very last digital event of MACFEST this year. And it's one of the most exciting and awaiting events. I could see we've got over 50 people in the audience. And so our presenter today is Yasmeen. She's an expert on Palestinian embroidery. And our host is Catherine Thornhill. She will introduce herself today and tell you a little bit more about her work. So if I could just ask, please let us know in the chat where you're watching us from. We're saying hello from the UK, from France, but we usually have an international audience, so we just would like to know where you're sitting. Any questions, any thoughts? Also, please put them in the chat or share them in the Q&A portal. Over to you, Catherine.
Hello, welcome to this wonderful event from MACFEST, the Muslim Art and Culture Festival. This is the last one of the year and one of the most popular events too, with more than 140 people registered. I'm Catherine Thornhill. I'm the head bookworm at the ShelterBox book club. For the event, I'm going to tell you a little bit about ShelterBox and the work we're doing before introducing our amazing guest, Yasmeen. We'll then hear from her on tatrees, the historic art of Palestinian embroidery. And then at the end, we'll have 10 minutes for questions. So please do add them into the Q&A section if you'd like to ask a question. Thank you all so much for being here. So hello, as I said, I'm Catherine Thornhill. I'm from ShelterBox. We're an international disaster relief charity providing emergency shelter and household items to families around the world after disaster. I manage our subscription book club, which has over 2,500 members across the UK, and fundraisers for our vital work by reading books from the countries that we're working in. A few years ago now, we had the privilege of reading Typhoon by Kesra Shiraz, who founded MACFEST and who is here today. You can sign up for just £10 a month and join us on our journey around the world through books. Just search ShelterBox Book Club online. And also welcome to all of the book club members that I can see in the audience today. It's so nice to see you. So yeah, ShelterBox is working in many different countries around the world, including Yemen, Sudan, the Philippines, and many more. But as our topic today is Palestinian embroidery, I wanted to give a quick summary of our work in Gaza. I won't go into the details, as I have no doubt that everyone on this call is acutely aware of the situation in Gaza. But to give context to our work, since October 2023, more than 90% of homes in Gaza have been severely damaged or destroyed, and around 1.9 million people have been uprooted from their homes, many multiple times. To date, ShelterBox has supported over 20,000 people across Gaza with partners such as Medical Aid for Palestinians, the Egyptian Red Crescent, and Rotary International. To begin with, we focused on carryable items such as tarpaulins and rope, blankets, and kitchen sets. But our more recent projects have also included sturdier tents. An 11-week blockade of all food and humanitarian aid to Gaza by Israel ended in May. A limited amount of aid has been allowed in since through the mechanism, the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, which is a US private organization backed by Israel. It's now the only officially sanctioned aid distributor, who have been widely condemned by humanitarian organizations as inadequate, dangerous, and politically motivated. That said, limited food and medicine has been able to get in, thankfully. However, since March, no shelter materials such as tents, tarpaulins, or timber have been allowed into Gaza due to a full Israeli blockade imposed on that date, and these items remain explicitly prohibited. We have hundreds of tents in Jordan, enough to shelter thousands of people, but we can't move them because of the restrictions. So we can continue to campaign for a full ceasefire, all border crossings to be reopened, and impartial aid delivery to be restored. If you are based in the UK or anywhere, please feel free to write to your local representatives with these same requests, as it is, increasingly urgent. Everything we've been able to do for Gaza has been because of generous supporters like our book club members, and we continue to do everything we can to reach people who desperately need our support. If you'd like to find out more about the work that ShelterBox is doing, please go to our website, easy to find, shelterbox.org. yeah, Palestine is so much more than the conflict that currently engulfs it, and I'm thrilled to be able to introduce our guest to explore one of the beautiful elements of Palestinian culture and history. Yasmeen Bsaiso, and I hope I'm pronouncing your name right, I'm so sorry I didn't get to check, is a specialist in Tatriz teaching and research, holding many training courses online and offline for communities interested in the traditional art of Tatriz. She started her embroidery journey in 2011 when she learned from Palestinian women who she met in their homes. She also enhanced her understanding of the origins of Palestinian embroideries, such as design, color selection, and fabrics, through her study of many important sources in this field, in which the history of embroidered pieces goes back thousands of years. Yasmeen is inspired by her Palestinian roots to present her courses in welcoming and warm, in a welcoming and warm manner, and with rich knowledge, solid techniques, and great passion. Over the years, Yasmeen has managed to train over 100 participants and entertain and intrigue them with the wonders of Tatriz, many of whom have gone on to create their own pieces. I am so excited to hear your presentation, Yasmeen, and to learn lots. And I know the audience too is thrilled that you're able to join us.
Thank you very much, Catherine.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Catherine. Hello, everyone. Thanks to the MACFEST team as well for giving me this opportunity to be here today. I'm very honored and I'm very excited to share with you what I know. And actually, it's quite special this time, as mostly my audience are Arab-speaking women and women from the Arab region who yearn a lot to go back to their roots and just experience a bit of or a glimpse of the lives of their grandmothers and great grandmothers. So I'm quite honored to be here and share more of what I know with an audience who I would assume probably comes also from the West and probably other regions also in the world. We're here today to shed some light on a very old a practice or art that is quite special, and inshallah throughout the conversation that we'll be having today, you'll get to learn more about the history of Tatriz, and I'll show a small demonstration of how we do Tatriz as well. If you feel like called to learn about Tatriz, then we can definitely discuss that anytime. I'll leave my contact details for staying in touch after this conversation. So thank you again, Catherine. Shall we start?
Yes, absolutely. Would you like me to share the presentation, or are you happy to?
Let me do that so I, can easily navigate without bothering you with
perfect.
Moving on. Thank you. And please, whenever I am speaking, stop me, ask questions. I'll be happy to. Do you see my screen now?
Yes, we do.
Okay, perfect. I'll go on full screen mode.
Cool. Perfect.
Okay, perfect. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, Catherine. Again, our session today, I've planned to share with you content on these three key ideas. First of all, where, how, and when did Palestinian embroidery begin? We'll also talk about how we can read a Palestinian dress, because a Palestinian dress, or what we call thobe in Arabic, tells a lot about the life of the woman who's wearing it. So how can we really, decode a Palestinian dress? It's something quite interesting to explore. And finally, maybe we can, inshallah, as time allows, I'll be very happy to show you how I'm stitching, for example, today, this piece. And we can see, a live practice or a live example to get closer to the, hands-on experience. As Catherine said, I had the pleasure of teaching, but that came only after starting to do Tatriz when I was 9 or 10 years old, when I and the family visited friends of the family, and I saw a lot of cushions embroidered that intrigued my curiosity when I was 9 or 10 years old. The memory stayed in my mind until I graduated from university, when suddenly, I had a lot of free time on my hands, and while reading some book on art, I came to remember that memory of Palestinian embroidery and the beautiful cushions I saw when I was 9 years old. So that was like when I graduated university 13 years ago. That's when my journey with Tatriz, my personal journey with Tatriz started. I learned Tatriz, and I found the most valuable learning experience came from meeting old women in refugee camps in Jordan, as well as meeting women in different parts of the world, Palestinian women who could still maintain this art and maintain this practice. There are amazing references, and I'm happy to share more information for those interested. That I had the blessing of studying, because they taught me a lot about the history of Tatriz. And then that's how the journey began. After years of practicing by myself and also reading and all of that, I came through coincidences that facilitated for me to begin teaching Tatriz, and then hundreds of women have started with me also. They've gone beyond what they learned. Some of them teach today, some of them continue further studies in art and so forth in Tatriz. So I hope this is also a blissful time for you, where you get closer to the art and see where it takes you if you decide to adopt it. These are some of the most beautiful pieces and work in progress projects for some of the women who learned Tatriz with me. Quite honored to have had them, and even more here. So as you learn Tatriz, you will get to realize that you can do a lot with it. There are so many variations. It's an art at the end of the day, so you can definitely let yourself, loose and just allow it to manifest through you as freely as it can be. Right. So let's start with the idea for those of us who are interested in history or the history of art. Where and how did Palestinian embroidery begin? We know that, research says that Palestinian embroidery dates back to the era or the time around 3,500 to 4,500 before Christ. And the embroidered pieces that researchers were able to find were a variety of dresses, cushions, head coverings, shawls, and also handkerchiefs. What we know is that, and most of the books that document Tatriz today, these talk about dresses or other pieces, as I mentioned, that come from the period of 1850, 1840 until 1950, or after that, if we want to talk about more modern embroidered pieces. So mostly Palestinian women, if we speak about the time of 1850 and around that time, we know that most Palestinian women in cities and villages wore embroidered dresses. However, the wearing embroidered dresses became less and less common around 1890, when Palestinian women in cities started to get influenced by Western or Ottoman clothes. So, for example, whether it's the British or the Western style in wearing skirts and suits or other or dresses, for example, that's when the Palestinian thobe became less present in cities, except Ramallah, and it became more dominant in the villages. As a form of art, young or children, girls, started to learn embroidery. Some references say girls were taught how to embroider when they're in their when they are 6 or 7 years old. Other references said they would learn Tatriz from their mothers around the time of puberty, so somewhere between 10 and 14. So it's a skill that was so essential for little girls to learn. As early as we teach our daughters and girls at a young age today how to read and write, it's something that you can imagine stayed with our grandmothers and great-grandmothers for at least, let's say, 60 or 70 years of their lifetime. So it's an essential skill. They're quite connected to it as a practice, and they kept it with them until they were quite old. So that allowed them to practice tatreez across different social and economic circumstances, and that had definitely the impact on their dresses. I'll show you how a Palestinian dress can reflect the economic or the social situation or circumstance of a woman all throughout her life. What we also know from research that dresses were distinctive enough to tell which woman came from, her family, or even the profession of her family, and the social and financial status, as I mentioned. The tatreez that we know, which is not what you see here on this side of the slide, this is an exception, and I'll talk about it. But the tatreez that I showed you like a couple of pages back, when I showed you the examples of the works of my students, what I show you here now, for example, the cross stitch that I show here, these are this kind of stitch we call the X stitch, or the Falahi stitch, or the cross stitch. These are all common names for the same stitch. This tatreez practice is most common in the middle of Palestine and the south of Palestine. However, what you see here on the right is a different variety. This kind of tatreez is not the cross stitch. It can be the running stitch or other forms of stitching. And this is most common, or this was most common in the north of Palestine, closer to Lebanon. So we're talking about regions like Tiberia in Palestine. They didn't embroider as much as the women in the middle and south of Palestine because of being much more preoccupied with working on the land in farms and so forth. They didn't have the luxury of extra time to do other forms of stitching. But what I'm trying to demonstrate through this example is that even within Palestine, embroidery or embroidered pieces were quite different. And that shows us the richness of the practice and the variety of what researchers were able to find. So as I said, today, the oldest embroidered pieces we could find in a good condition dated back to 1850. Researchers have been able to document what they found in references that, alhamdulillah, we have in our hands today. As I said, tatreez evolved over time until it reached what we see today. As a form of art, you can really play with it, which I don't have any problem with. I mean, I myself, like this piece that I show you now, my work, I know it's a variety, or it's a somewhat a deviation this time in this example from the original colors or the more common colors women used to use in Palestine, but I'm aware of it. Like I'm very open personally towards becoming more creative with tatreez, only under one condition, that we are educated and we're aware and we know what original tatreez is. Because at the end of the day, it's art, so we can be creative with it. However, we have to be aware. I really advocate for being aware of the original practice of tatreez as it is, the colors, the fabrics, the cuts of the dresses, where to embroider on a dress, where not to embroider, and so forth. So, as I said, it's a form of art that has evolved. It was also open, tatreez, to the influence of other cities. So we cannot say that, you know, it's a purely it was only open to the influence of Palestine or Palestinian nature, as we'll learn in a bit, or the Palestinian women. The Palestinian dresses traveled to Morocco and Spain, and they, through for example, the Christian pilgrims back to Europe. However, these people also in Europe or in Spain or in Morocco, they came to Palestine for pilgrimage or other purposes, and they brought with them their art pieces. We also found evidence, for example, of embroidered motifs in the shape of dragons. So this is because at some point of time, silk shawls and silk pieces came from China with the motif of dragons, the motifs of dragons. And so Palestinian women saw, this unique new shape, and they started to embroider it on some unique pieces. I wouldn't say it was widespread, but this is what I'm trying to say, is that people who came from different regions also influenced Palestinian tatreez. And so it is. So this is a quick glimpse or a brief about the history of tatreez and where it came from, also how it was influenced over time by different influences. What we see here is a piece from the dress of a Bedouin woman in Palestine. And one of the distinctive, or how we know that it is the influence of or if it's a Bedouin woman, usually Bedouin dresses had black hem at the end. They used to stitch blue lines at the end. And these are different motifs. We'll talk about the motifs now in a minute. However, I would pose, I don't know, Catherine, would you like to pose here for questions, or should we leave those till the end on the first part?
We have one question about how to spell tatreez.
Of course. Of course. So the literal translation, as we know, is embroidery. And but if we want to, if you spell tatreez, the most, it's just a way to show how we say it in Arabic. The proper pronunciation in Arabic is tatreez. So in English, we try to mimic that sound through the letters TATREEZ, tatreez.
Perfect. There haven't been any other questions, and I'm like completely absorbed by what you're saying, so I think we can keep going.
Okay, sounds great. Thank you. So now to a very interesting part in this conversation we're having. How do we read a Palestinian dress, and how can it really tell a lot about the woman wearing it? Well, there are 5 different aspects through which we can, try to decode a Palestinian dress. First of all, the fabric. What kind of fabric is it? Is it cotton, silk, or else its color, its age? We can also read a dress through the thread used. What type is it? And its color. We can see, look at the cut of the dress. How is it cut? And we'll see examples now. We also can tell through the motifs used. The stitch type, what kind of stitch? As I said, there's the cross stitch that you can see here, or X, but there are so many different variations we'll see examples of. And as I mentioned, the embroidered motifs. The motifs talk about the region a woman comes from, her family's profession, her economic condition, her social status, she married or not, and so forth. So let's see this example from Jericho or Ariha in Palestine. Usually in Jericho, women wear dresses that are, again, very different probably from what we're used to see today, in the sense that they used to wear dresses that are embroidered with the running stitch, not the X stitch. And the stitch or the motif was, generally speaking, straight lines from the shoulder down, as you can see in these examples. Now this is a more modern, this is not embroidered, but they later on started to wear these dresses that also show straight lines in the fabric itself from the top or the shoulder to the bottom. So these are pictures of women from Jericho. Now, just to show you another example, another variation, researchers have found the following dress from Jericho, where a lady called Alia, who originates from Jericho and lived there or worked there on a farm for a lady from, the farm was owned for a lady from Ramallah. And I'll show examples in a bit for Ramallah dresses. They're quite dense with.
Oh dear. Yasmeen has been having trouble with her power, so hopefully the same thing's not happened again.
Okay, in that case, I'm just gonna use this moment to let everybody know. First of all, thank you so much for joining today, and thank you for joining on any other event throughout the year. We've had so many amazing events this year, and we're just putting the program together for MACFEST 2026. So very soon we will be putting new events on Eventbrite. So you will be able to book the tickets. What we've got still this year coming up. Oh, hello, Yasmeen.
Hi, I'm sorry.
Do you need a moment to go back to your presentation? Okay, so I'll just finish. Yeah, we've got MACFEST Arts Awards exhibition coming up on the 20th of November at the University of Salford. And this is an exhibition of the best artworks by UK-based Muslim artists in 4 categories: drawing, painting, calligraphy, and photography. So the preview is on the 20th of November, 5 till 7 p.m. in the evening. So if you're based in the UK or even a little bit further, you'd like to come, please do. It's going to be a really amazing event. The exhibition will continue until early December. And we've got still MACFEST Heritage Tours coming up. The Albania Heritage Tour is open to everybody worldwide. So if you would like to join, do contact MACFEST and see how we can connect and get you on the tour. And for those based in the UK, we've got a MACFEST Heritage Tour also to Cambridge Mosque. Are we still having problems? Yes, we do.
Yeah. I think she's frozen again, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Can some of our attendees let us know in the chat which was one of their best events that they attended this year and why?
Yeah, that would be interesting to know. If you've seen any other events this year or even previous years, let us know which were your favorites and why.
The first event that I hosted was a Turkish calligraphy event, and I honestly still think about that at least once a week. So fascinating.
Right, so maybe for those who have joined us a little bit later, Catherine, you might want to remind us about the work that you do with the book club.
Yeah, just as a quick summary again, ShelterBox is an international disaster relief charity providing emergency shelter and household items to families who've lost their homes to disasters, be that conflict or as a result of the climate crisis. And I'm the head bookworm at the ShelterBox Book Club, which is a fundraising subscription product that helps raise money for that vital work through reading books from the countries we're working in. So we've got about 2,500 members across the UK who join us with a book every 6 weeks that gets sent to your home. And those books, yeah, as I say, are from the countries we're supporting. And we read the books, we vote on which book we're going to read, and then we discuss them in a series of events, sometimes a bit like this with a Q&A with the author who joins us from their homes around the world. And yeah, it repeats. There's lots of members that are really lovely, and we get to travel the world through books. I think there's a there's a link in the chat already of the of the webpage if you want to have a look a bit more, and some of our lovely members in the chat, which is nice.
Yeah, I agree. Head Bookworm is the best job title ever.
Thank you. I would recommend anyone to invent their own title. I think technically I'm the book club coordinator, but I thought we could be more imaginative. It does look like there's a few people with events they've been to in the chat, which is nice.
Yeah, so somebody here, I've just seen a comment about the Eventbrite. If you ever have any problems with Eventbrite, because they do happen occasionally, feel free to send an email to hello@macfest.org.uk. Sometimes it's just as easy as register for the event. You're gonna get the link and then the reminders with the Zoom link to join. But if there's any problem, any glitch on Eventbrite, we can send you the link via email. And if ever it happens that your event is cancelled, your ticket is cancelled, it's usually because we would have a cancellation, like last minute cancellation, any unforeseen circumstances, we would cancel the event and also send an email to everybody from Eventbrite to say that the event was cancelled. Yes, and lastly, so everything we say, all that information is always on MACFEST MACFEST website. We also have a Muslim Artist Network. So if we have any artists in the public here, you can find the information either on MACFEST website or Muslim Women's Arts Foundation website if you would like to join the network. And also we've got links on MACFEST website for donations. So we always ask, and we're very grateful for all the donations, big and small, because as you can see, most of the events are free and we just rely on the funding and your donations to carry on. Right, question to the attendees. How many people are embroidering while watching? Right, I'm based in Scotland. Would I still be able to be part of the artist network or contribute to the art exhibition? Right, so that is a very good question. I think it's best to send us an email because we do have live events for our members of the network. So I'm not sure if you would be able to join to come over from Scotland. And regarding the exhibition, this year it was UK-based artists. But next year,
Katarzyna, I'll mention about the national exhibition. So the question is whether they can take part. Yes, obviously the competition has gone, but there is opportunity to come down to Manchester to take part in Whitworth Art Gallery. You need to get in touch with me, Gesra Shiraz from MACFEST. And the date normally is February, where we give opportunities for Muslim women artists across the UK. And because the national award ceremony is for the UK, so whether it's in Cardiff, in Wales or Scotland, we welcome people. So do connect. We can host you. You can come down to exhibit, and we will obviously pay you a sum for coming and any other cost that you might incur. So please do get in touch with us. Thank you. So is there anything about Yasmeen? If not, we can perhaps call it a day and thank everybody for being amazing attendees and for being so patient. But I'm so glad that Yasmeen did join us earlier. She did have a problem, but we got a lot from her already. So maybe, inshallah, she might send a little recording or something, and we can get you the information later. And if you missed the first part, it is being live streamed on our MACFEST Facebook, so you can catch up on that. And just wait for our next program, 2026. We are really busy, and we're giving a feast of feasts, covering everything from a youth festival to a women festival to a Ramadan festival to a festival of environment and world and art, to history, to architecture, and to different heritage tours. For example, next year we're going to Saudi Arabia, combining Umrah with exploring the historical sides of Saudi Arabia, and also Portugal, where we're exploring the Islamic history, the monuments, the architecture of that place. And those two tours are spread out. One is in April and one will be in October. So that is something really exciting for you to join. And if you're local, we have lots of events in the UK, spread right across the UK, particularly in the Northwest, because we're based in the Northwest, where we have lots and lots of art workshops, almost in every single town in the Northwest, from silk painting to mosaic painting to mandala painting, to Turkish floral artwork, to calligraphy, we name it, we do them. And of course, there's a Ramadan festival. We'll be going right across the world. And in fact, in the audience is a Dr. Ida. She's going to bring you a real treat. She's part of our MACFEST team. And she's originally from Romania. And also she has a Muslim background as well. My goodness, that's going to be a feast for us for next year. Hello from Romania during the month of Ramadan. And then there's going to be Festival of Museums and Libraries, where we take you around the world, including possibly Doha and somewhere else. So we're still finalizing our program. If you know any museum in the USA with heritage from the Islamic background, we'd love to hear from you. Or if you're in the Far East, wherever you are, if you have any excellent ideas which fit in with our program under themes of literature, cuisine, architecture, culture, heritage, we love to hear from you. And so you can contribute to ideas for us. We are obviously fix the program, but we're always open to ideas. And anything to do with poetry, anything to do with culture, we want to know about it. So that's from me for next year. And I can't believe this is the last event of 85 events we hosted today. And I want to really thank you, the audience, who have joined us right across the world, from USA at one end and Australia at the other end, different time zones. So we're very grateful for giving us that time. And those of you in Europe, somewhere else, it's afternoon, it's a nice sunny day, but you're sitting here with us listening to me and other people. So we're grateful, and we love to have you join us for next year. So I want to thank you, my brilliant Katarzyna. She has, mashallah, progressed and progressed in hosting. As you can see, she's done a brilliant job in taking over and, you know, getting us through this panel, and with these little glitches that we've had to have because, you know, we're being hosted from other countries. Thank you to my wonderful Catherine for the amazing work they do using books. And they actually chose one of my books, Typhoon, as part of their program. So I'm grateful to them. So continue your wonderful work. And of course, Yasmeen, the amazing Yasmeen, who did an amazing presentation. We've seen those gorgeous pictures. We learned about the embroidery, and I'm sure she will pass you on the slides and more information later. Want to thank at the behind the scenes Steve, one of our tech host team, who have been delivering our events for the last 6 months. Every weekend we've been here. I think you will probably accept we deserve a well-deserved break for 6 months every weekend running. There's no other festival in the world that runs for 6 months, and we host youth festival during the week times. We need it to be in 6 months. So now we deserve a break to carry on preparing for other things. So inshallah, see you next year, if not at any of our other events in between, or even our heritage tour to Albania. So thank you so much, everyone. And goodbye. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.